Okay, students, we shall start the presentation. Rule number 1, Anish Rai, are you ready? Your team?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, you can go ahead.
So very good morning to one and all present here. This is Group 1 bearing roll numbers from 1 to 5 are here to present on the topic the fundamentals of contract, bids and tenders. So this is Abhishek Vijayan. I'll start this presentation. So before knowing anything, we should understand the basic definitions of contract, bids, and tenders. So we'll start with contract. So in the early stage of a project, and once a project manager is selected, the main issue that faces the owner or a project manager is to decide on the contract strategy which best suits the project objective. So basically, a contract is nothing but, as the name itself suggests, it's an agreement which is made between two or more parties, which is enforceable by a law. These two parties are basically the client and the project manager or the contractor. So this agreement is actually enforced by a law to provide something in return for something else for the second party. So basically, these contracts can be very uh, simple, or they may be very long or a complicated legal documents. So when a contract is properly set up, it is legally binding upon. So these two parties, that is the contractor as well as the client, they both should agree to the contract. So these two parties, they are expected to perform various obligations that they have undertaken as expressed in the mutually agreed set of contract documents. So that's why this contract is very important, because this is enforced by a law. So this is the basic definition of contract. So I hope the screen is visible. So next comes the basics of bids and tenders. So
Stuck on the first slide.
construction,
Abhishek, only the
yeah,
first slide is visible.
oh,
Yeah,
It's
shared your
fine now.
screen.
it's fine now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So the bids and tenders. So okay, I'll just show the first slide. So contract is nothing but an agreement which is made between two or more parties. This is to be like this is the important information. Like this is the basic definition of contract. So next comes bidding and tendering. So bidding and tendering, these both go actually hand in hand. So just listen carefully, because this is a bit confusing. Construction bidding, this is actually the process of
Abhishek,
submitting. Yeah,
Abhishek, sorry
yes,
for
ma'am.
interrupting. You can make it as a full screen.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. So construction bidding. Construction bidding is actually the process of submitting a proposal. This proposal is what we term as tenders. So submitting a tender and the process of submitting this tender to undertake or manage the construction project. This is called as construction bidding. So this construction bidding starts from the cost estimation, and it will go till the material takeoff. So a tender is actually the proposal in which proposal. So in other words, we can say that it is the offer to do the work for a certain amount of money. So the proposal, what we are talking is termed as tenders. So this is construction bidding, which is the process, and tenders, which is the offer or the proposal. So these are the basic two definitions of tender and bids. So now let's look into the contracting processes. So there are actually six steps of contracting processes. So the first one is identifying the project. So before preparing the contract, first we will identify what project this is. So there will be some project which will have a span of 6 months, or it will have a span of 1 year. So we have to identify what type of project, and what are we actually placing the contract. The second comes the preparing the scope. So as the name suggests, preparing scope is actually defines the extent or the area that the contract covers. So any addition or any omission during the life of the project will increase or decrease the quantity of the work involved. I hope the screen is visible, right?
Abhishek, still your slide is, I mean, your screen is in slide 3. Yeah, now only just skip to slide 4.
Okay, ma'am, I'll just not make it into full screen because when I make full screen, it's not moving.
Okay,
So I
okay,
think
not an issue. Yeah, it's okay, it's okay.
so. Preparing scope. So preparing scope, as I mean, it is the area or the extent up to which the contracting process is covered. So I'll give you an example. For example, let me consider a house which is being built in a span of 6 months. Suppose if it is increased to 7 months, there is a 1 month span which is increased. So due to that 1 month, there will be a lot of works which will happen in that particular month. So in contract, we should always mention those things as well, because since the contract is enforced by a law, a minute sentence will also make a huge effect. So all these things should be considered. That's why preparing scope is comes under second category of the step, and it is given a huge importance. So once we identify the project and prepare the scope, then we will select the contract. So based on the contract, we will place the tender documents and invite tenders. So as I said in the previous slide, tender is actually the proposal or the offer offer to do for a certain amount of money. So once we place the tender documents, invite tender, we will conduct various tender meetings and we will evaluate all those tender meetings, all those proposals we will evaluate, and finally we will draft it and we will place this contract. So these are the 6 basic steps of contracting process. So next comes the types of contract. So basically there are 5 types of contract which is classified based on the time, scope, price, etc. So these 5 types of contracts are lump sum, time and material, admeasurement, target cost, and cost reimbursement. So these 5 will be explained by Abhishek Dadish in the following slides. So over to him.
Hello. Hello, this is Abhishek Dadis, roll number 3, and I will be continuing the types of the contract. So first of all, we will discuss about the lump sum contract. So Abhishek, can you please say? Okay. So lump sum contract, basically it is also called an stipulated sum contract, and it is a traditional means of the procuring the construction, and it is the most common form of the construction contract, and it is the suitable for the works in which the contractors have the prior construction experience. So in this type of the contract, what the client will give some specification or scope of the work and the time duration for the completion of the work. So this is about the lump sum contract, and the main advantage of that lump sum contract is that the main disadvantage of the lump sum contract is that it is difficult to implement the revisions or any changes in the work on the later stages of the work. The lack of time flexibility in this method may result in the delay of the work implementation. As I said, like all the specification and scope of the work is fixed by the client itself, so the time may vary. So here in this, highly skilled architect and engineers are needed in the lump sum contract. Abhishek, can you please change slide? So second one is the edge measurement contract. So for the edge measurement contract, if we see, it is also called as a unit rate contract, and it is the inclusive of cost of labors, materials, equipments, and detailed measurements are recorded and payment made at the tender unit rates. So it is commonly used by the builders and in the tenderal agencies. The main advantage is that it is flexible to handle the variation due to the changes in any design. In this method, the payment is paid monthly for all the works completed during the month. Unit rate can also be reset during the bidding process as the owner request depends on the owner request specific quantities and pricing for a predetermined amount of the unitized item. So for the lump sum contract, I will give you some example. Like recently, not during the construction of the Goa airport, they used lump sum contract and EPC contract in during the construction of the Goa airport. For the edge measurement contract, we have the 2 forms of edge measurement contract. The first one is bill of the quantities contract and schedule of the quantities contract. Next slide, please. For the bill of the quantities contract, the tender entered the rate against each item of the estimated quantities of the work. The quantities are remeasured during the course of the contract valued at the tender rates and the contract price adjusted accordingly. And the second one is schedule of the quantities contract. It contains inaccurate quantities of the work, possibly with upper and the lower probable limit. Therefore, it is the common for the separate rates to be quoted for the labor, plants and material. And the third type of the contract, we are going to discuss about the cost reimbursable contract, which is also known as cost plus contract. In this type of the contract, the contractor will give the Abhishek, next slide, please. In this type of the contract, the contractor will give the bill of all the construction cost. Construction cost in the sense material, labors, and equipments. All the construction cost bill is given by the contractor to the client, and here the client will give some profit or additional fee to the contractor. So here it is mentioned that the contractor is reimbursed for actual cost plus a special fee for a head office, overheads and the profit. No special payment for risk. If there any risk, then no additional payment will be provided. In this, the contract involves a high level of the flexibility for design changes, and the final price depends on the changes and extent to which the risk materialize. This contract has no direct financial incentives for the contractor to perform efficiently. In this, the construction starts without waiting for the whole set of drawing and specification. Like the big companies like Reliance, if you see, so in the big companies, you know, the time and the quality matters. Money doesn't matter, so they just start. The process. Like during the construction of the, like in the Noida also, the DLF and the Langmore company, they also use this cost reimbursable contract or cost plus contract. Next slide, please, Abhishek. The fourth one, that is a target cost contract. So in this one, the target may be introduced into the cost reimbursable contract. In addition to the reimbursement of the actual cost plus percentage fee, the contractor will be paid a share of any saving between target and actual cost, while the fee will be reduced if the actual cost exceeds the target. Like here, the contractor will be paid an extra share for any saving between the target and actual cost. Like if the actual cost exceeds the target, then the contractor fee will be reduced, and if the target fee will be less than actual cost, then contractor will pay some share. Here, the combination of cost plus contract plus percentage rate contract and plus fluctuation rate contract is there. So the contractor and the owner agree to the target estimate of the contract, and in this type of the contract can be used in the same circumstances as the cost reimbursable contract is used. The final one, that is the time and material contract. Abhishek, can you please change slide? For the final time and the material contract, basically these contracts are the hybrid type of the contracts arrangement that contain aspect of both cost reimbursable and the fixed type of the arrangement. It is used in the long-term projects with a dynamic requirement. Here in this type of the contract, here we need to give separate payment for like materials and time. And this type of the contract is mainly used in like refineries, IOCL, BHEL, NTPC. This type of the company, this type of the contract are used. Deep involvement is required from you to make sure that the team is delivering towards the approved scope and within the correct amount of hours. Low budget control is the main disadvantage of the time and the material contract. The overall cost can go far beyond the expected budget. This contract can be used when the flexibility is required. The main advantage of the time and the material contract are the dynamic work scope, better timing and flexibility. With this, my part is over. Hand over to Abdul.
Hello, am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Good morning. I'm Abdul, roll number 2, and I'll be talking about tendering. All of us must have heard about the word tender either from the news or must have read it somewhere in newspaper or something. What does the word tender actually mean? The word tender refers to offering or presenting something formally. For example, offering to do some work for a fixed price. So let me define the tendering process. Tendering is a process by which an organization or a company who is in need of goods or services invites other parties to submit a proposal or a bid to provide these goods or services. This invitation is known as RFT, that is request for tender. Now the organization who published the request and needed those goods and services is called as buyer, and the organization who responds to this request of tender and provides the goods and services is known as the supplier. Next slide. Yeah, so tendering in the field of construction. A contract or a tender document in construction industry is an agreement between two parties, that is the buyers and the suppliers, by which they intend to be legally binding. with respect to the obligation of each parties to the other and their liabilities. That is, the contract binds the contractor to construct the work as defined beforehand, and the employer has to pay for them in a manner and timing that is set out beforehand. For construction works, this process of tender is used to select a contractor to construct any type of work on the basis of best value and of their money and the quality of their work. Next slide. Yeah. So, benefits of tendering. There are many benefits of tendering. Some of them are it enhances competition between supplier, cost optimization, and value of sale enhancements. So what it does is like all the competitors have to send out their response to the tender, and they have to, uh, you know, quote a suitable price. And now the buyer has options to choose from high price to lower price and a range of quality of work. So it forces the competitors to uh, compete between them and increase the quality of their work. It's a transparent process and minimizes potential for conflict of interest, open vacancies for new market competitors and entrepreneurs, more space for negotiations. So all these already competitors which are available in the market, it's not like only they can apply for tender. Anyone who is new, and if they are able to supply the goods or services, they can as well take part in this tendering process. Next slide. Yeah. So applications of tendering. There are many applications. Some of the main ones from the buyer's perspective are to get the best value for money through healthy competition, to ensure valuable contracts are awarded in a way that is fair and unbiased, to minimize risk by using a rigorous screening process. Now, from the supplier's point of view, they usually take part in tenders to grow their business and revenue, to expand their business by building long-term relationship with buyers. Now, basically, there are three tendering methods. Change to the next slide. There are three tendering methods, that is open tendering, selective tendering, and negotiated tendering. Under open tendering, the employer or the organization advertises his proposed project and permits as many contractors who are interested to apply for the tender documents. It's not restricted to anyone, and anyone can apply for this. Under selective tendering, the employer advertises his project to a selected list of contractors only, and only they are allowed to bid for the project. In negotiated tendering, the employer invites a contractor of his own choice and only allows him to quote the price for a project. Now, to explain more on this, we have Abhinav.
Right. Hi, this is Abhinav at role number 5, and I will be discussing about tendering processes. So according to me, the whole, hello? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So according to me, the whole tendering process can be divided into 7 steps, and we will go through each of them now. The first one is analyzing different tender opportunities. Like Abdul mentioned about open tendering, selective tendering, and negotiated tendering. The first thing the buyer does is choose which method they move forward. Check the old slide itself, please. When you want to buy something, you might either say you want to buy a mobile phone. You might either go through every shop there and compare the prices in every shop, or you might select a few certain shops and go there and then compare the prices in between them. Or you might pick one shop, go there, negotiate the price, and then buy it. Now, the same thing happens here. Open tendering is one where everyone is allowed to participate and come up with a proposal. Selective tendering is one where the buyer selects certain companies and only they are allowed to come up with a proposal. And finally, negotiated tendering, in which the buyer selects a company and they discuss, they negotiate, and then finally come up with a proposal and then a contract. Next slide. Yeah. So after he has chosen a method, the next thing the buyer has to do is make a request for tender. Now, this basically outlines everything that the buyer needs, the goods, the services, the evaluation criteria, the conditions of tender, conditions of contract, everything is involved in this request for tender. Next slide. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the RFT RFT has all these things, and they have to be specific about all these things. Next one. Yeah. So after they have sent out the RFTs, the next thing the buyer has to do is invite the tenders. Now, this is basically a formal structured procedure in which they let the sellers know that they can come up with a proposal and the best proposal will be selected. Next one. Now, the fourth step is response from the suppliers. Now, the suppliers don't respond as soon as they get an RFT. They first go through all the requirements the buyer has. They even attend pre-tender briefings to clarify all the doubts they have. They make everything specific, and only then they plan the response, prepare the response, and finally submit it to the buyer. Next one. Next slide. Yeah. After this is done, now it is the buyer's role to choose a suitable tender that can bring them the most profit. So they might go through all the tenders that the suppliers or the seller has submitted. They see if the proposal adheres to the everything mentioned in the RFT. They see if it is compliant to the details mentioned in the RFT. And only after that, they select a suitable tender that they might think is the best suited for the company. And of course, every company has their own ways to do this. Now, the next step is notification and debriefing. Now, after the buyer has selected a contract tender, they notify the tender that their proposal has been accepted. Now, along with this, they also conduct debriefing interviews for the unsuccessful tenderers, because when you submit something and you are rejected, you would obviously want to know why your stuff was rejected. And if and if they don't tell you why, you might obviously find other ways to do it. So to avoid such situations, the companies conduct debriefing interviews. Now, this is also a very important part of this process. Next one. Now, after they are notified that their tender is successful, now the final step is preparing a contract. Now, this is basically a formal agreement between a buyer and a seller. And after the contract is prepared, it is the seller's duty to adhere to all the guidelines mentioned in the contract and manage the contract effectively. Now, this is all about the tendering process. I have mentioned it in 7 steps, and it is very easy for you to understand. You can go through them again afterwards. Now, the next topic is bidding. So what is bidding? A bidding is basically a formal proposal to deliver goods or services at a specified price and describing that the tender contract requirement will be met. Next slide. Now, if you read this, you might find that bidding is really similar to tendering. And yes, it is very similar to tendering. The first thing that happens is the client sends out bids invitation to the contractors or the subcontractors. Then the contractors or the subcontractors, after receiving the invitation, go through everything, the scope of the work, the materials required, goods, everything that the buyer is expecting. And then the contractor or the subcontractor prepares a proposal after reviewing their cost codes and coming up with a budget. They present the proposal. Then the contractor, the subcontractor goes through all the client goes through all the submitted bids, see which one is best suited for them, and finally the best bid is awarded to the best proposal. Now, this is about the basics of bidding. Now, Anish will explain more about the process of bidding.
Hi, this is Anish. I'm role number 1, and I'm going to discuss about the process of bidding and the evaluation of bidding. Firstly, the decisions in the construction bidding process are three decisions are taken. The first decision is the project delivery method, and the second is procurement method, and the third is contract method. Now we'll go about the project delivery method. Actually, Abhishek. Yeah, in the project delivery method, we have 4 steps, 4 methods that we have. It is design bit built, that is we can call it as DBB, and the construction management task. Then DB, that is design build, integrated project delivery. These are the four methods we have in the project delivery method. First, we'll see about the design DBP, that is design bit build. Yeah. In DBP, that is design build, is commonly employed for the non-residential building, mainly under the government projects. The owner hires the individual, that means individual or independent designer or architect for this. This bid covers the total cost of the building sector and the money for the subcontractors and general contractors cost and the overhead cost and the profit. These are about the DBP. Then the construction management at risk is an alternative method for the DBP, which helps to reduce the cost which we face in the DBP, used for the complex buildings, and it includes the pre-construction service, actual construction, the fee of the construction of the manager or the construction manager. Then DB. In DB, it's actually about the accountable to the a builder will be designed to a constructor which an individual who can build and design the building. It's an individual opportunity to them. And next one is integrated project delivery method. It is a group of teams which involves the owner and architect and contractors, which they share equally the profit as well as the risk. Next slide. Yeah, construction procurement method. In this construction procurement method, we have four methods. That is best value method and negotiate method and sole source and low bid. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. In best value source method, the buyer and the contractor are awarded the contract based on the price and performance. This price and performance are taken from the past performance of the builder and the other qualification of the staff and the other specific method factors. Negotiating tender method. The contractors are selected without any form of advertising or competitive bidding. This proposal is not openly publicly. Sole source method. This is not a competitive method that only use a single provider who can fulfill the customer's requirement for all the projects. And low or lowest bid. It is a traditional procurement which is mostly used in the government and public construction, which they follow the procurement method. They give the person who gives the lowest budget for the project will be selected as. Next slide, please. Yeah. Then finally, we'll have the contract model. Contract model is includes the four criteria. One is cost plus free contract, which will find they will give every cost step for building. They will classify into three steps: initial stage and mid stage and the final stage. They divide the cost and give it to us so that it will be comfortable for the customers to provide the money. And GMP contract, it's also similar to the first point. And the third is a time and material contract. That is, what are the materials they require and the time for the construction to be done. And fixed price contract, they have some fixed price for the employees and as well as the cost of the materials. So it will be included in this contract. Lease and lease back. This is they give us the employees who work in the site. So they have some contracts some safety measurements plus the money requirement. And finally, we have the evaluation of bid. Evaluation of bid is followed and point wise, opening of bid, it is the first criteria. Then second, they will go for the examination of bit. And third is like request for the clarification if they have any doubt in this bit, or like they have like what are the time required, like that will be inquired in this clarification. And evaluation and comparison of bit. If they find anything like other bit is comfortable for them, they move on to it, or they get some reduction, or they reduce the cost. Post qualification, they see the constructor which he is qualified for it, or like he has a sufficient or skilled labor for doing it. And award recommendations, like they whatever the awards they have got, like for building a good site or something like that. And a bit evaluation report, that is the finally the builder will be giving all these details into it, and notification of award. This is the following one, and with this I will end up.
So this is all about the fundamentals of contract, bids, and tenders. Hope you guys understood this concept. Thanks.
Okay, so that was a very good presentation. And I had a single point to tell you. Like, did you all people work together, or you worked individually to put and you merged the slides alone together? Like, did you segregate the topic? Yeah, you segregated the topic among yourselves and you worked individually and finally clubbed it, or you worked it together?
And we divided the topics like equally, and then we like then they prepared themselves, and finally we just combined everything.
Okay. So that is okay, fine. For the next teams, for the forthcoming teams, what I do is suggest is you can separate the topics among yourselves. Like, you can prepare the slides. After that, have a discussion, and you finalize a theme for that particular slide, and you can stick on to one single theme. That will show that that will represent how teamwork you have put. Like, though one will be preparing in a white background, the other will be going for another color. Like, when you merge everything, or when you club everything in a single format, that will speak up how your teamwork is. Definitely, either you have to work for others, or like it will be helping each another, so that will bond yourself. So it is better if you put all the slides in a single format. That will speak about your teamwork. Okay, so nothing technically, because you have put all the stuffs there and then and there in the correct manner. Yeah, all about it. That's all. Any other suggestions or queries from the students? Any other doubts you have? Any other doubts from the students? Okay, so team one has given a very good presentation. They have covered the entire fundamentals of the contracts, bids, and tenders. They started with the fundamentals of giving definition of contracts. They gave the types of contracts, bidding process, and tenders. So all those things they have covered. And I expect the same similar type of presentation to be given by team 2, 3, and 4 on Thursday evening, 4:30. Is that okay? Are you all ready? Team 2, 3, sorry, 2, 3, and 4. Will you be ready on Thursday evening? Yes. Team 2, 3, and 4. Anyone from the 3 teams? Okay. So if you people have any doubts, you can stay. Others can leave the meeting. And Divya, you can download the attendance sheet.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, also
thank you,
the
team.
PPT is being posted in the file section. Like, if anyone has to view that, it's available in the file section.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Abhishek. Abhishek, you can make a post of the PDF version. That will do fine, because that will be easy to circulate in mobiles as well. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Abhishek and team. Okay. Okay, students, then thank you. We'll end up the class.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
ma'am, actually I have one small query, ma'am.
yeah.
Ma'am, actually we are group 16 or 17. We got the topic like applications of computer in construction management. Ma'am, in that we have to include like advantages, or like different type of softwares and all.
Different type of softwares and what are the softwares are used in which type of application. For example, if you're going for any bridge type of construction, do they follow any different type of analysis for bridge structures? And when you go for any management related things, like when you're working on some predicting the critical path or allocating the resources, if you have some materials, when you're allocating it, what type of softwares are being used, that you can sit and analyze, and you can really show a simple example of how they are allocating the equipment or the cost or the resources. You can show such examples. There are so many softwares available for this. You can take one case study, you can prepare on it, and you can represent that.
Okay, ma'am. No, not like that and all advantages of types and not and all that and all
You
things.
can.
Yeah.
No, like if you wish to, you can, because your topic is not very specific. So if you wish to include, you can also include, but make sure you complete within the stipulated time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Any other doubts?
Ma'am, so any software related to civil engineering or like computer application, we can say, or just only the construction management part?
It would be more specific if you stick on to construction management. There are so many management softwares available, like your BIM, your MS projects. You have so many MS projects, MS Access, yeah, P6, Primavera. So many softwares are there. Anything you can stick on. You can there are so many YouTube videos. You can go for a glance to it. You can take a simple example and you can explain it to the students.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Okay. Okay. Divya, you can end up the meeting, Divya. Yeah, thank you.